Hello, welcome to the start of the new vlog. So me and Jem have been talking about D&D a lot lately, and we kind of got the idea. It was mainly her idea at the first, and I kind of jumped on it, I'm not gonna lie. But we were talking about classes and things like that, and we decided we wanted to read more books inspired by D&D. So we are doing a vlog. Well, we're doing 4 vlogs between us, and we are going to cover 12, the basic 12 D&D classes. There are 6 martial classes and 6 magic user classes. This is basic, very, very stripped down. If you don't know what a martial class is, it is a class that uses essentially swords or punching, like martial arts, or they fight with weapons and things like that. And then there are the magic users, who are your spellcasters and things like that. And so we're doing 3 classes. So we've decided that we are going to have 6 each, and we are going to take 3 of the martial and 3 of the magic. I'm starting with my martial vlog, and this is where it's going to go. So I get paladins, rogues, and monks. And we've kind of talked about things, and I'll kind of go through what each of the classes are a little bit as I read, but I'm going to read 2 books from each class. Do I know what all the books are? Not just yet. I have at least 1 book for each of the classes I'm doing, but I need to kind of figure out the others. But yeah, this is going to be a fun vlog, guys. Hi, so this is the first proper update for this vlog. I am reading my rogue book one of the rogue books, and I am reading a game of Hearts and Heists, or Heists and Hearts. I think it's Hearts and Heists. Let me have a look. Hearts and Heists. So when I picked this book up, it said steamy lesbian romance, and I was like, okay, but a lot of things say steamy, and they aren't steamy. I am 9% into this book. How many pages am I into this book? Give me a page number. I'm 24 pages into this book, and holy shit, this is every time I talk about this book to Becca, I'm like, you need to read this. I need to talk to someone about this book. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So I'm going to give you the synopsis, and we're going to talk about it and what I know about it so far. Obviously, I'm only 24 pages in, so I'm not super far into it, but already the characters. When I say I want a spicy fantasy romance book, this is what I want. This is what I want. It's so frustrating that there aren't any sapphic fantasy romances about every single time that I read a fantasy romance with don't get me wrong, I love a good straight fantasy romance, but every time I read them I'm like, I'd like to read this the sapphic version. This is the sapphic version. If you are looking for a sapphic fantasy romance book, I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit trash. I'm not even gonna lie about it. Please read this book. I'm really enjoying it. It's so much fun. So I will give you the synopsis, and then I will talk a little bit about the book. I'm not going to go into any spoilers in this vlog because I want many people to watch it, but I want to talk about a little bit. 2 enemies, 1 goal: steal each other's hearts. Scarlet Grey, disgraced assassin, is determined to get revenge. Quinn Adams, medic turned poisoner for hire, is her deadliest rival. For years they've stolen each other's clients, sabotaged each other's business, and occasionally slept together. When the Magician Queen offers an irresistible deal, Scarlet and Quinn are forced to work together, but this is not a simple job. With a heist ahead, they're going to have to trust each other, and that's not easy when they both have secrets to hide. Harder still when those secrets will betray the ones they love. Now, neither woman is sure if it's a heist they want to win or a heart. 2 women, 2 deadly professions, and a romance that could be their downfall. This is a steamy lesbian fantasy romance with enemies to lovers, a heist, found family, a secret royal, and only 1 bed. I didn't know there was only one bed trope. So I'm on to chapter 3. And the author of this book, Ruby Rowe, knows what the fuck she's doing. I'm going to say that first off. She writes really, really well so far. Like, I'm really, really interested. The banter already, and just like, I love it. I really, really do. There isn't a lot I can say about this book though, because like there's like, I'm 24 pages in, but like the vibes are there. You know when you just like, you're vibing with a book, the vibes are there. I wanted to have read much more than this by now. It is almost 8 o'clock, and I would have liked to have read a little bit more than what I have read. That isn't going to happen. I'm going to try and like sit down and do some more reading because I'm really enjoying it. Yeah, it's really funny. I was reading it at work, and then like one of my bosses came over to me and was like, how was Christmas and how was this? I'm starting this very early on in January, so that is why she was asking me about Christmas. And I was like, turn my Kindle off. Yeah, it was good. Yeah. Oh yeah. And like that, just like, and I'm sat there like, please go away. I want to read about the lesbians. Oh, why is that not a shocking sentence anymore? But yeah, this is the first update I'm going to have of this one. I'm going to try and like get this one finished. I may have to put it down for a while because I do have to read my Sarah J Maas book for Mass Along, which is next Tuesday. So I may have to like put it down so I can read some of that. But I'm going to try and read as much of this as possible. Hi. Ignore the messy hair. I just went and had a bath. But I want to talk about the book. So I'm still reading A Game of Hearts and Heists, and I'm really enjoying it in the sense of like the smut is on point, the writing is good. The only issue I have is I don't know when this is set. So every time you read it, it's like, it's kind of giving like your old fantasy vibes. But then they're talking about like leggings, and then they talk about pizza, and it just doesn't have like a set time, which is throwing me a little bit. The plot is pretty interesting so far. Like, I'm not hating the plot. I'm not hating what's going on. How far into it am I? I'm like 39% into it. It's not bad. But the lack of like time setting is really throwing me off. So there's that. I'm hoping to finish it as quickly as possible. I have like 2.5 hours left in the book. So here's hoping. Hi. So I finished my book. I gave it 3 stars. The reason I gave A Game of Hearts and Heists 3 stars is there were a lot of things that I loved about this book. The writing, in the sense of the tension, was great. This author is really, really good at doing a good enemies to lovers story that is like, you can feel the like, I really, really hate you, but I really fucking like you in like a sexual way. And it was really, really good that way. The issue I had with this book was the pacing was really off for me. So it is a book about 2 girls who have to work together to like do a heist, essentially, for the Queen. And what I got from this book was a lot of tension and not a lot about the heist. Now, I know it's a steamy lesbian romance, fantasy romance. I do appreciate that, and I really, really appreciate that that's being done. I also appreciated just how many sapphic people were in this book, because there were a lot. However, there was like an ensemble cast of 6, I think there was about 6 of them who were doing the heist. All I know about one guy was that he was a racer. One of the girls, there was like a big reveal, but I didn't feel connected to her to be like, oh, actually. And the other character was kind of forgettable, and I really hate to say that, because I don't even remember why they had to use her. The other thing was the heist didn't happen until about the last 100 pages. And I just like a little bit more plot to my books, and this just felt like a lot. The other thing that I didn't love, I really wanted to love this book. I was really excited for this book. But the other thing that I didn't love about this book was the fact that the tension, while the tension was there for the two main characters, it was a lot of tension and not a lot of payoff. There was a lot of like steamy thoughts or steamy dreams or steamy like ideas, but not a lot of like actual scenes, which like, yeah, it bothered me a little bit. Yeah, so I gave it 3 stars. I'm a little bit disappointed. I don't think I'll be continuing with the series because like I think I might see what the next one's about. If it's about these 2 characters, I'm definitely not going to. If it is about 2 different characters, maybe. But I feel as if you're doing a heist book, we have to be invested in your entire team. And I don't think I was in this situation. One other thing that I forgot to say about the A Game of Hearts and Heists. No, actually, I've already talked about this. The author doesn't like do a particular setting for the book, like time-wise. So there are like, there's mention of like leggings and there's mention of motorbikes and stuff like that. But then because there's swords and stuff like that, like it feels very much out of a time and space. And that works sometimes in certain books. Like I know that like there are certain books that it really, really does work well for, but there's other times where it doesn't feel right. And this time was one of the times that didn't feel right, unfortunately. So I don't know if I kind of loved that or if that kind of took away from it as well. But yeah, it was a shame because I was really looking forward to this book and I was really excited to read something that was very predominantly sapphic, and it fell flat, which books are going to. I still enjoyed it enough to give it 3 stars. I just probably won't read it again. Having said that, I am going on to my second rogue book, which is The Lies of Loch Lamora. This is Scott Lynch. This book I've had on my bookshelves for a very, very long time. I've been meaning to read this book for years. And every time I do, something stops me. I think the main issue is my copy of the book is slightly different to the audiobook. So when I was reading whilst listening to it, things didn't match up, which wasn't great. So I think I'm going to try and audiobook it because the narrator for the audiobook is incredible. I can already tell you that. I think I only got like 120 pages into this last time. But I'm really excited. I've heard loads of amazing things about this. I will give you the back of this and then I will go into it when I start reading it. So just to paraphrase the back of this book, because I've tried to read it a few times and my brain is just not working at the moment. So what I know about this is Loch Lamora is an orphan boy who ends up becoming a thief, and he runs the band of thieves called the Gentlemen Bastards, and it is about heists and stuff in a war. I've heard amazing things about this. I've heard so many really, really good things about this, and I just keep on putting it off. So we're actually going to read this because this is the perfect thief book. But yeah, I will start this and I will let you know what I think about it when I get to it. Yeah, there's a few books I need to read before I read this, so this might not be jump straight into it. And it's quite a chunky book. It's like over 500 pages, so we shall see. I feel like this vlog is just me with really, really bad hair. And weird camera angles. But hello, it is a few days later and I'm starting The Lies of Loch Lamora today. I've been in a really good reading mood, which is really exciting because I don't read that much and I've already read 3 books this year and we're on the 8th. So that's really exciting. So I'm going to be reading this. I've heard amazing things about this. I'm really hoping I like it. But I think it's very much going to be an audiobook, which, because like the last time I tried to read this, there was slight differences in the text when I was reading and along with the audiobook. So I think I'm just going to audiobook it because I really, really enjoyed the narrator. So I think we're going to do that. We're going to try. I'm going to let you know what I think about this, if I've got any thoughts in the middle. And hopefully I really enjoy it. Hello. I'm at Becca's. So I haven't updated on this one at all. I've said I'm going to start it and then I never talked about it. So I'm about 150 pages in. I finished the first bit of it. So I'm up to book 2, Complication. And here's first things first. The narrator of this is incredible. There's a character that he voices in this, and the way he voices that character, like, it always sticks in my mind because it's great. There's a lot of twists and turns in this, and I will say I have been mainly listening to this whilst I've been playing mobile games on my phone. Unfortunately at the moment I'm playing like brainy mobile games on my phone, which is not good because I need to use my brain. I'm not concentrating on the book. But I will say the last couple of minutes of the last chapter of this have finally sucked me in. I'm not going to say anything because, one, I don't think that you've read it, and I don't want to spoil anything in these like videos, but I think I'm now invested, which is good because previously I'd gotten like 118 pages in and I'd given up. So I was like, this was the last hurrah for Loch Lamora. If I didn't finish it this time, it was never going to happen. But yeah, I really like it. It's I don't know if I love the writing style. There's something about it that I'm just like, it's not hitting with me, but the characters are interesting and I'm very excited to see where it's going. And there's been a fair few things where I've gone, oh, I did not expect that. And it's very thiefy and it's very roguey. And I really appreciate that. And it is exactly what I wanted from a rogue book. So yeah, I'm hoping to get it finished by the end of the month. It is 500 and odd pages.
You have the audiobook.
I do have the audiobook, but I also have so many chunky books on my TBR this month. Like I have a lot. Like I have a lot on my TBR this month.
We have 2 days of doing nothing where we can sit and read.
Yeah.
And you could listen to that while knitting.
I could. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm very curious where it's going, and I need to stop listening to it when I'm either playing games that I have to use my brain with or driving, because my mind tends to wander when I'm driving and I'll like zone out and think about something for a while and then come back and be like, why was I thinking about when I injured my knee when I was dancing like 10 years ago? And then I come back to it and go, oh, have I missed things? It's not ideal. But I am enjoying it, and yeah, I'm really, really curious to see where it goes. And yeah. But I don't have anything else to talk about because I haven't started any of the other classes yet. I'm gonna do that one, and then I don't know if I'm gonna do Monk or Paladin. I think I'm gonna try Monk.
It's really fun because no one knows about what this is for, but I've got the inside knowledge.
They don't know what it's for yet either.
No, they don't. But I know.
I mean, you guys know that this is for a vlog. Because this is the vlog. Is there something behind it? Maybe not. You're gonna find out. maybe not. But yeah, it's interesting, and I'm excited because if I like this one, I can pick up the second one, and the second one's piratey.
Ooh.
And we know I love my pirates. But yeah, I've been reading this very, very slowly. I'm just kind of picking it up as and when. And the audiobook's really, really good. I'm very much enjoying the audiobook. Yeah, I don't think I've got anything else to say. So I'm not going to say anything else. Hello. Surprising me at the most. I finished it. This is the day after. I read so I was here. So I read that much today.
That's a lot.
Which is insane.
That is a lot, especially since the writing's quite small.
It's pretty small. Yeah. This was a 4-star. This was definitely better than A Game of Hearts and Heists. There was so many twists and turns. And I think that's potentially one of the reasons I didn't give this a 5 was because there was so many twists and turns that sometimes I felt like I was a little bit lost. However, I will definitely be reading the next one. Not anytime soon though, because there is 4, 5, I think there's 4 books out, and there's no site for book 5, and I'm not gonna do that to myself. And this one kind of concluded quite nicely. I mean, there's still some open-endedness. There is one thing that did bug me about this book that I'm not going to go into because it is kind of a spoiler, but there is something that it just bugged me, and I can't go into it because it's not a big thing, but it's a thing that is referenced quite often in the book, and I don't want to spoil it for anyone. But it was something that annoyed me. So that is my Rogue Ones finished. I definitely think this was the better out of the two. This one did also make me cry, and I was very, very stressed, and poor Rebecca had to deal with me being shh, shut up, because she was trying to offer me sweets and stuff at the time that things were going down, and I was just traumatized.
I understand though.
So I just was go away. But I also want to show these off because they are very, very cute. So Siobhan made us little things for Christmas. So we've got a Demogorgon, which is from Stranger Things, which if you don't know is obsessive of D&D. And then we've got Sprinkle, who is from Critical Role, which I don't know if you know this, is another D&D thing. So I felt like they worked very, very well in this.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Siobhan. We love them. But yeah, so that is my Rogue Ones. I don't know if I'm going to do Monk or Paladin next. I'm not going to be reading anything yet because I have so much on my January TBR that I need to finish those. But I have a few things prepared. I have the Paladin book, The Paladin's Grace by T. Kingfisher, which was the only thing that's been recommended about Paladins ever. And then I have It's Potentially Iron Crown, or there was another book that I kind of have an idea about. And then I have for Monk, I have Jade City by Fondley. Is it Fondley?
I think
Fondley. So. Or He Who Drowned the World by Shelley Parker Chan.
Yeah.
So those are my kind of options. However, those are going to be next month's deal because I have so much to read this month. And I just kept adding to this TBR. I've read 4 books this month though, so we're doing well.
We're only on the 12th.
And we're only on the 12th. Yeah. So another one done. And I did very much enjoy this. This one is definitely more Rogue vibes. I think that was one of the other issues going back to A Game of Hearts and Heists. It says it's a heist. There was not a lot of heisting. And also, the main character is supposed to be an assassin, but she felt very much like a fighter. And I was like, this was not the vibes I wanted, which is sad.
Yeah.
But this was definitely rogue. This was definitely rogue. Yeah, if you ever want a roguey book, this is kind of perfect. There's a criminal underground, there are thieves, there are assassins, there's magic, there's a lot of sharks. There's a lot of sharks. I did not expect there to be so many sharks. Very much enjoyed it. Very, very much enjoyed it. I feel like I'm rambling now. So I'm gonna go because clearly I'm just talking shite. Hi. So there's been a lot of not confusion, but like I had a lot of back and forth with myself on what the next book I was going to read was going to be. And I decided to read Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. I am doing the live with By the Angel along, and I was talking to Becca and I was like, is there any way that this could work for the D&D vlog that I'm doing? And she said, I think that it would be really good for this, because I was like, I need it for Paladin. And she was like, what's Paladin? So I explained it a little bit. So we're going to go for that. At the moment, I kind of see it. I don't think it's Paladin in the sense of doing an oath to a god, kind of, because I know that that is a main thing. But I also know that there are oaths to other things. So I'm doing this very, very loosely on the idea of Paladin. And in the sense of they make an oath that they make to protect and other things like that. So that is what I'm doing. I'm not the biggest fan of Paladins. I think that sometimes they can get a little bit... I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of Paladins. I think they're a fantastic class to play, but I just don't ever think I would see myself playing it. But that's by the by. So we've got the Paladin, and I'm reading Swordcatcher, and I'm like 3 chapters in. I forgot just how long Cassandra Clare's chapters are. Like, that prologue was ridiculous. So far, there's not really much that I can tell you. I'm very, very curious about everything that's going on. And I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see what is said and what is done. But we're going to see. I do have a couple of videos to film today. I'm also out tonight for a meal. So I need to wash my hair, put some makeup on, do the videos, and then get ready for the meal because I'm getting picked up at like 3:45 and it is already 12 o'clock. So I have like 3 hours 45 to have something to eat, to get ready, to film the videos, potentially read some more, I don't know. So yeah. But other than that, nothing else to report. And yeah, I am listening to Swordcatcher. I did listen whilst I was at the gym, which not the best because they had like a lot of really loud music that I couldn't fully put my audiobook on loud enough to not hear it. But it was good enough, and I went to the gym, so that's better than nothing. Because I'm trying to like be more active in myself. So hopefully. But yeah, I've got this book to do. I wanted to finish it through the week last week, but that just was not happening. So I'm hoping to get like a couple of chapters read today. If I could read like 100 pages, that would be great, but I don't know if I'm going to because I'm so busy. So we'll see. It's not the end of the world if it doesn't happen. Hi. Quick update on my D&D vlog. So this is, Becca said this was a Paladin book. Having read it, I think I can kind of see Paladin vibes from Kel. For Lynn, she'd said Lynn for the Paladin vibes, but so far I am getting very much cleric vibes, which I'm very, very intrigued by. But it's definitely not Paladin-y like I expected. I'm really enjoying this. This is very different. I do also apologize if you can hear wind. We have some horrendous wind at the moment. But yeah, I don't know if this is something... I don't know what I expected from this book, but I'm enjoying it. I realize I haven't actually told you what this is about, mainly because I don't really know. The essential thing that I can tell you is we follow two characters. One is Kel, who is the sword catcher, which is a young boy who is brought from basically nothing and is essentially a body double for the prince, the crown prince. And we're following him as he goes through his life with Connor the prince and kind of seeing what he's about. And then you have Lynn, who is a physician who kind of is an outsider to the rest of the world or the city, and doesn't have a great time with that. And at the moment, like, stuff's starting to divulge and kind of mix. I'm about 230 pages in. I'm like at the end of chapter 8. And yeah, it is definitely something I don't know what I expected, but this was not it. I think it's good. I think it is good. I'm very, very interested in what is happening. I don't know if it's going to be a favorite, but I'm enjoying it. I'm not entirely sure if I would have picked this for Paladin. I'm not going to lie. But I do think it does give me very much like some D&D vibes. It feels as if it would very much work for a D&D thing. I'm curious to see if my opinions change on if this is Paladin or not. But for now, I'm going to keep on reading. I'm very excited to see like where this goes. But I'm finishing reading this for today because I have other books that I need to get to for other things. So we're putting this down, but I wanted to update you on my thoughts and opinions. So here you go. Hi, I am joining you from my bed. I have been playing Sims and finishing a book. I finished Soul Catcher. So this is a 3. I'm really, really sad to say. I enjoyed it a lot. It was good, but it wasn't anything special. I feel like I'm interested to see where Cassandra Clare goes with it. I think it's interesting to see her out of the Shadowhunter world. And I think this in itself is really good in the vein of like, it's a decent fantasy. It's fine. The issue I had was, I think that I'm a little bit, how do I say this? If you don't know, I really didn't like Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare, and I've not read a Cassandra Clare book since. And I feel as if looking at this one, it kind of like I lost the love for Cassandra Clare books. Don't get me wrong, it was fun, it was interesting. There was definitely a lot of intrigue in this book. Like, the plots that were going on, I was like all over the place. The characters were interesting enough. Like, Lynn was definitely something that I really enjoyed. I'm very, very curious. I will probably still read the next one, but Lynn was really interesting to like kind of figure out. And then you have Kel, and his interactions were great. I really did like Kel. I think I enjoyed Kel's story more than I did Lynn's. But I just think that I'm a little bit out of love with Cassandra Clare at the moment, and that's fine. As for if it's Paladin, because I did this for the Paladin prompt after Becca said about that, I understand where she came from. However, I still think that this would be best as a cleric prompt. Lynn is a physician. She is a doctor essentially, and that is very, very much something that like is like all the way through. Kel, I can kind of see him as a kind of a paladin. He is the sword catcher. He is sworn to look after the prince, and I would say that he would technically be a paladin in the sense of paladins take an oath, and they take an oath of protection or revenge or something like that. And Kel does, but it's not towards a god, it is towards the prince. So kind of I can see the paladin side of that, but I definitely think that if I had picked this book for a specific class, I think it very much fits with cleric. You have this character who is very, very much a healer, and there are some religious aspects in the sense of like she's from a different religion and they are ostracized, and she's trying to come to grips with that, and that very much speaks cleric to me. Very much speaks cleric. And especially with like paladins being fighters for gods and goddesses, it didn't feel as if this was enough of it for a paladin. I am glad that I read it to kind of figure out what I want from a paladin book. And this was always going to be a gamble. I'm still keeping it in this vlog because I'm not reading another one. I have so much to read over the next couple of months that I don't have time to like add an extra book to my TBR. However, it is the 27th of January. I have one book left to read on my TBR, and that book does not come out until the 30th of January. If you're wondering what book that is, I wonder. So I think I'm going to start A Paladin's Grace and hope for a little bit more luck with this one. But yeah, so I have done all of the rogue ones. I've done one of the paladin ones. If I can get the other paladin one done, then that's great, because then I only have monk left, and that is going to be Jade City, which I'm a little bit anxious to read because that's a massive book. And then the other book that I have is He Who Drowned the World, which I enjoyed She Who Became the Sun quite a bit. So I'm excited to see what that could be, but I don't know. But yeah, I have done my prompt for Paladin, and this is my thoughts. If you want full thoughts on the book, Becca is doing a live show. Let me just see when it's scheduled for, because she did schedule it and I'm just being an idiot who can't remember. If you want to hear all my thoughts, Becca is doing a live show, and I am part of the live show for that. So she will have that on her channel, because by the time this goes out, that'll have already happened. So if you want to hear all my thoughts and have a conversation with a few people who did and didn't like it, please feel free to watch that back, because it's going to be an interesting discussion no matter what. Because I know at least like Becca loved it. I'm quite ambivalent to it. Yeah, if you want to hear all of our thoughts, come to that. It should be an interesting time. But I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to go make some food because I am starving. Hi, I moved. So I started reading Paladin's Grace, and I forgot that I have not talked about what this book's about. I haven't really talked about many of the books, really, and what they're about. But Paladin's Grace is about a paladin who fights for God, and their god dies, and it's talking about that, and then it's set 3 years later. I've only just started listening to this, but already I can say that's a really cool concept, and I'm really excited to see where this goes. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of check in and be like, I forgot to tell you what this is about. Hopefully it is good. I'm already interested, and it's a really quick read. It's only like a 12-hour audiobook, so I'm hoping I should be able to get this finished either today or tomorrow. We'll see. So I am like a third of the way through Paladin's Grace, and the one thing I did not expect to see in this book, nor to love so much, is the fact that one of the characters knits, and it's explored quite consistently, and I just did not expect it, and I kind of love it because it's something that you don't expect. And there's a full paragraph of like how soldiers aren't supposed to knit, and how they aren't taken very seriously because he's knitting, and how like it's ridiculous because it's big pointy bits of I think he says bone in this, but it's basically essentially just like how you could like stab someone with it and stuff like that. And I'm like, this is great. I love this. I always love to see like a craft I'm into being in the book. So yeah, I just thought I'd come in and tell you about this. It's very curious. I'm very, very curious about the actual plot. I don't think it's going to be a favorite book, but it's definitely worth reading. And it's definitely like a different type of thing than I was expecting. Hi guys. So I have finished Paladin's Grace, and I've got to admit, I think I would have liked this book more had I known more about it going in. Because I heard Paladin who doesn't like, who no longer has a god, and I was really intrigued by that. And what this book was essentially was a murder mystery romance in a fantasy world, which was interesting, but it wasn't the vibe that I was going for and the vibe that I expected. This book was really decent, and I think had I gone into it with a different expectation, I probably would have loved this book. But as it stands, this is a 3-star book, which is not ideal, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was entertaining, but by the end of it, I just was like, oh, I just kind of want it over and done with. I will also say this probably isn't helped by the fact that I read my most anticipated book of the year yesterday. So so I finished that. I finished Paladin's Grace today, and it was fine. It was not my cup of tea, but that's fine. But I'm going on to the Monk books, which is Jade City by Fonda Lee and He Who Drowned the World by Shelley Parker Chan. I don't know which one I'm going to read first. Also, can we just appreciate you can't really see it, but I got the Illuminate copy to go with the original one. So I'm really excited to read that. But yeah, so I think I'm going to probably go with He Who Drowned the World, because I already know what the world is. So I already have like a kind of understanding of it. Whereas with Jade City, I will be going in blind. And I did try to read this a little while ago, and I only got like half a chapter in and stopped reading because it wasn't my vibe at the time. I'm very much the type of person who I will probably love a book, but it will depend on the date and the time. So I think I'm going to go for this tomorrow, and I'm going to take this to work, and hopefully I enjoy it. It's like almost 500 pages long. It's almost 500 pages long. How long is this one? This one is almost 500 pages long. So just a shy 1,000 pages. Why do I do this to myself? But yeah, I'm glad these are the only 2 that I have to finish for this vlog, and then I can start on other books. And a lot of the other books I need to read this month are either romance or they're books I've read previously and they're just rereads for things, or they're anticipated books. So like, it should be fine. I hope it's fine. We'll see. Hi. I'm going to pretend that I have enough spoons to do this. It is Saturday morning and I have barely just woken up. But I've not spoken about this book yet. So this is He Who Drowned the World, which is my first Monk book for this vlog. And I have to say, I did not expect to love this book as much as I am. I enjoyed, so this is book 2. Book 1 is She Who Became the Sun, and it follows our main character who has been, her and her brother go to like almost a soothsayer type thing, and is told that she will die and be nothing, and her brother will become like incredible and bring loads of honor to the family and all this. And her brother dies and she takes his place, and she goes to a monastery and becomes a monk, and then goes on to fight in wars. And there's like a slight fantasy element to it. And yeah, I enjoyed book 1. I know a lot of people didn't love it. I enjoyed book 1 a lot. Not like loads, but it was a decent one, and I knew I wanted book 2 when I'd finished book 1. What I did not expect was, I went and had a look on every avenue I could to see if there was an audiobook, because it's been a while since I've read book 1. I didn't want to reread book 1. I wanted just to jump straight into this. There is a really handy like brief summary that reads almost like a historical document in this, which I really appreciated, which kind of tells you everything, like the main points that happened in that book. And so I was reading it, and physically I was like, I'm not getting into this. I'm really enjoying what I'm reading, but it's slow going. So I looked, and Spotify actually had the audiobook. So I listened to the audiobook, and honestly, the narrator for the audiobook is phenomenal. I really enjoy the narrator for the audiobook. So I'm about 7 chapters in, and this is incredible. It's really good. I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying hearing the different point of views. I'm really interested in where it's going, what is happening. And it's a lot better than I expected, in the sense that I think because I've heard so many people being disappointed with the first one, I forgot that I enjoyed the first one so much. And then reading it, I'm like, okay, actually, I really like it. It's very different to the type of fantasy I usually read, in the sense of it is very light on the fantasy. It's very much mostly historical with a little dusting of fantasy. But I really like it. It's also really interesting because now in this one, the character is technically no longer a monk, but has a lot of, because they were a monk for so long, we have like a lot of monkish ways, and it's really interesting because this is more of a D&D monk than the monks that there were in the first one, or how I would play a monk. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I think this is going to be at least a 4-star. And like I said, the narrator is so good. Absolutely incredible. So yeah, I'm going to try and read this. I'm hoping to finish it by the end of the weekend. I don't think that's going to happen, but we can hope. And then I have the audiobook for Jade City as well, which I'm really excited for. But yeah, I finished He Who Drowned the World, and it's definitely a 4-star. This is potentially one of the better books I've read this this vlog. I think at the moment it's that one and Lies of Loch Lamora that are kind of at the top. I really enjoyed this book. I really enjoyed like the understanding of the characters and seeing them kind of like fulfill things, and seeing the entirety of everything going on in the background. It was phenomenal. It was really, really good. There was no random, if you know what I'm talking about, but there was no random like scenes that just came out of left field. And yeah, it was really, really good. It really built on what the first one was and made it better, in my opinion. And it really helped that it was just really well done. I also feel as if there was a good balance of all of the characters felt like underdogs, which was really, really interesting. It sometimes was a little bit like, it felt a little bit painful because quite often you would get these like characters who'd gone through a lot, and it wasn't like the author wasn't afraid of like showing that, which was a little bit but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I am now going to be moving on to Jade City, so I'm really hoping that I enjoyed this one as much as I enjoyed the last one. This is a really floppy copy as well. I love when there's a floppy book. But yeah, I'm going to be reading this next for the monk. This came up on a lot of lists when I was looking for books about monks, and a lot of people said that if you want to read a book about monk, to read this. So I'm going to try. I've wanted to read this one for a long time anyway, so hopefully it will work. Hi. I've been reading this for 3 days and I've not said a word. Like 150 pages in. Like, it's amazing. I'm really enjoying it. At first I was very, very curious where the monk side was going to be, because I was like, I could see it for like rogue in the sense of like assassin and thugs and stuff like that. And then we got introduced to one character and I was like, oh, I do kind of get why we're getting monk. It is very, very different to the type of monk that I was expecting, but I do see where the monk vibes come from. So this is basically like almost an urban fantasy style novel that is about jade, and jade gives you powers, so the more jade you have, the more that you control. And I'm loving this book so far. Like I'm about 150 pages in, and I'm really enjoying it. I think it's really, really like well written. I'm so invested. I also got very, very angry because I saw a review of it floating around Twitter where it was like, oh, there's not a woman in until like 50 pages in. Yes, but when when the women get revealed, they're insane. They're incredible. I love it. Yeah. It's such a well done book so far, and already like I don't know where it's going. Like I know like the basic premises of it, and to be honest, I knew it had something to do with jade giving you power, and apart from that I didn't really know anything else. I do like going into books blind, but yeah, it's interesting. I'm really, really enjoying seeing where it's going. I don't really know what's happening yet. There is potentially a war coming out. That's not a spoiler, it says so on the back. But I'm really, really loving it. It's such a good book. Also, the copy's quite floppy. Like, oh, I love a floppy paperback. But yeah, I'm really excited to read this. And then I'm going to read the rest of them. Not this month because I've got too much to read. But I'm really excited to finish this book. This book is incredible so far. And yeah, I'm very, very excited to finish this book. I definitely think this is probably going to be the winner of like my favorite book from this vlog, because like what else have I read? I read he Who Drowned the World is a close second, I think. And then there was Liza Locklamora, which was also good, but I think this is probably going to take the cake unless something horrendous happens. This feels like a 5-star book already, which is incredible. I will also say, I was talking to Jem about this. I think that this vlog has really sparked my love for fantasy again and love for reading again. Like, I think if I'd gone into this book at any other point in my life, I don't know if I would have loved it as much as I have now. And I'm so excited to see where it goes, and I'm so excited. I'm so invested in it. But yeah, that's all I'm going to talk about for now. Hopefully by the time I finish this will be the next vlog update, and then we can go through like my favourites, my least favourites, and we can kind of just like wrap this vlog up a little bit and explain where we go from here. This is a lot of footage. Please pray for me for editing this because I'm already scared. Hi. I finished the book. Also, I got a thing, so now I can actually like talk without holding it and making everyone feel really uncomfortable.
Usually you only get this treatment at my house.
I know. What the hell? Essentially, I was like, yeah, I'll buy a stand. It was only £20.
Yeah.
£20. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about this. So I finished this book. This was a 5-star read, which yay, amazing. We love that. I automatically want to pick up book 2 because this one wraps up really well, but sets up book 2 really well as well. So like there's enough in this book that aren't answered, and there's enough that is answered, that it's like it's a nice, it's just a really, really good way to finish a book, and a first book at that. I love this book. It was a lot of twists and turns. I can kind of see why it is put on monk, because I was a bit hesitant about what the monk part was, and then I started to actually realise it because one of the characters is in like a school, and it's almost like a monastery type vibe, and it was so good. It was so good. I cannot wait to read book 2 and 3. I'm gonna have to wait because I've got loads on my TBR. But yeah, so this is definitely the winner of all of the books that I've read. The second one would probably be He Who Drowned the World, which, yeah, so it was, so Monks, essentially what we found is Monks won, because this was a 5 and He Who Drowned the World was a 4, which is actually quite funny because that is my favourite class to play. Then I gave Rogue 4 and 3. I think I gave it a 3. And then Paladin was a 3 and a 3 because it was Paladin's Grace and Swordcatcher. Yes. So
also, I appreciate when books put the number of the series on the spine so we know that's book 1. So if you're in a store that has no signal, when you can't Google it, you don't need to.
This is such a floppy copy.
It is floppy copy.
Love it.
Such a satisfying sound.
But yeah, so thank you if you've watched this entire video, because this is basically the outro as well. I will potentially be doing more things. I have a lot more vlogs planned. If you have any ideas for vlogs, let me know, because I do like doing these themed reading vlogs over weekly ones, because I feel like my life's not like interested enough to do weekly reading.
You don't do enough.
I don't do enough
outside of work.
Yeah, I don't do enough reading. I live on my own, so a lot of my money goes on household bills and things like that. So I don't.
And being an adult.
You know. But yeah, so I have a fair few vlogs planned, which is exciting. And yeah, thank you for joining me. If you liked it, please do all the stuff that people usually ask you to do. Feels weird to say that. And I will see you soon. Bye, guys.